Everything seems like it's moving faster because we're in faster vibrating frequencies. When we are vibrating faster, we are closer to source. But here's the interesting thing. We're already close to source. That's the whole problem. We're already close to source. We're just not close in perception of having this closeness to source. And shadows are basically, I want to say it's like bends in reality. They prevent us from seeing the truth. In order to effectively heal and move on to higher planes, we have to not only accept our shadows, we have to lovingly embrace our shadows. We have to learn how to love our shadows, not to get rid of our shadows, love our shadows. And the best way to love a shadow, in my experience, is through the understanding of what the shadow is. Remember to click the notification bell to get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you. See you soon. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. If you are new, welcome. I hope you stay. If you like what you hear, I would love for you to hit the like button, subscribe if that's what you want, and I would love for you to comment. My intention is very simple. It's to help you realize your potential by helping you wake up to your potential. That's really what my job is as Joanna with my team. So if you're into that sort of thing, if you are desiring to be more in acceptance of yourself, in acceptance of your own greatness, to realize your own greatness and your potential, then you've stumbled on the right information. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who are returning, again, I will always say this: without you, I wouldn't do this. And whatever it is that I do, channeling predominantly, I enjoy very much. So thanks to you, I'm able to participate in this enjoyment, and that brings me a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure. So thank you for supporting me in that. It's really important for me to let you know that I do what I do, which is loving the process of connecting with higher source. And I do it because of you. Yes, in big way because of you. Because if you were not here, there would be no one listening to this material, and therefore it would be useless. So thank you so much for being here. We are fast in July already. Where is the time going, and why is it moving so fast? For most of you, at least, I feel the time is moving really, really fast. It's almost like we're in a race towards something. So have you been experiencing time moving much faster lately? It's like Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's like gone. I barely remember what I had to eat yesterday. It's just everything. Time moves really fast. And what I want to say here is there's an explanation according to my team, and that's because we are in a higher frequency, so we are in a faster vibrating frequency. So everything moves a little bit faster. Everything, that's how I'm being presented with this information. So everything seems like it's moving faster because we're in faster vibrating frequencies. Mother Gaia is in faster vibrating frequencies, and everything seems to move faster. You know how in higher dimensions, intention is instantaneous. You basically envision something, and right there, it's right in front of you. Well, we have this ability, but we're in our level of our own vibration is so much slower that what we intend sometimes takes time, 3D concept of time. It's not instantaneous. So it only makes sense to me that as we move through higher frequencies, or as we move more into higher frequencies, everything will seem to move faster. It's almost more electric. And that's a really good thing when it isn't. Why is it a really good thing? Well, for one, when we are vibrating faster, we are closer to source, or what we believe is source. But here's the interesting thing. We're already close to source. That's the whole problem. We're already close to source. We're just not close in perception of having this closeness to source. Source has never left us. In fact, source is within us. We are all part of source. Like it or don't like it, that's just the way it is. Okay. So why am I talking about source? At the end of the day, soul's trajectory is always moving closer towards source. That's where soul naturally gravitates towards. And then I'm saying, Joanna, here, well, what about like negative energies, dark energies who don't want to get closer to source? And what I'm getting is that ultimately that soul desires to be closer to source. It is just in a space where it is in denial of its source. So it cuts itself off from this awareness. We humans have this awareness on some level. I mean, religion teaches this. It calls it God. So most humans have some kind of a belief that there is something greater than their physical being. And some don't have that awareness or have that belief. They believe that everything is just, you know, black and white, and you die and there is nothing left of you. That would not be someone I don't feel that would listen to this information. But if you are, and if you believe that you don't believe in anything, well, there's a reason why you're here and you're still listening. Maybe you don't believe in anything, but you want to believe in something. Remember, there's no such thing as not believing in anything. If you don't believe in something, that's your belief. I believe there is nothing out there. That's your belief. Okay? I don't feel that's going to be for many of you here. Unless you're someone who is in extenuating circumstances looking for information, and somehow you stumbled upon this information, and a source is giving you certain vibrational information, and my Joanna, our team's task is to reach you on a certain level. So perhaps some of this information is going to reach some of you in a way that you didn't intend to be reached. This is what's coming through. So everything is moving fast. Things are moving faster, which means our own vibration has to be faster because we're in a faster vibrations. Which means when we are in a faster vibration, a lot of things tend to fall off or fall away. And the image I'm being given is lifting up and dropping baggage, dropping density. So as we are moving more into these higher frequencies, naturally, so our dense frequency will tend to be falling away. Things like, I want to say illnesses, things like illnesses, things like old stories that are unhealed, basically anything that is responsible for slowing down our own vibration or dimming our light, if you will, or our awareness of being a light. Anything that is clouding our view will tend to fall away. So any illusions, any disillusionments, any past trauma, some people call it past lives, tendencies, these will tend to come up in our face so that we can effectively deal with it and leave it in the past. So you might have collectively experiencing a lot of things coming up seemingly out of nowhere. It's like, where is this coming from? And basically what the universe is doing, the universe is putting these obstacles or challenges in front of you as if to say, wake up, wake up. So if you are experiencing a lot of challenges right now, within that challenge, there's an opportunity for you to wake up to some greater, to something greater within you, okay? They're saying sometimes shakeups are necessary in order to dislodge old things and old belief systems. Sometimes we get really stuck on our old belief systems. And sometimes when we get stuck on an old belief system, that belief system will make us feel and be stuck. So if you are feeling stuck right now in some situation, the question you might want to ask yourself, what is it that I am experiencing? What belief system am I experiencing this stuckness through? In other words, what do I have to believe about myself in a situation to make me think that I'm stuck, to make me believe that I'm stuck? For example, if you are stuck, there might be a belief system that says to you, you can't do better. Don't bother. You're never going to find somebody else. Or you have a belief system that says, no, you should stay here because otherwise you're not going to be loved. Or you're stuck because there's a part of you that desperately wants to feel loved, and this part of you is desperately holding on to something it perceives as love, but you're not happy with it. Example, toxic relationship. If you are in a toxic relationship and you are not feeling loved, yet you are in constant support of this toxicity, because if you are in it, you are supporting it energetically, then you have to ask yourself the question, what belief do I have? What belief within me allows me to be in this energy, to be in this situation? What must I believe about myself to experience this? And by the way, deserving has very little to do with it. The whole idea of deserving and undeserving, that's just the thing we say to ourselves. But I'm talking to someone who is potentially in an abusive or toxic relationship, and you can be in a toxic relationship with an employer. A boss who bosses you around a little bit too much. In other words, you're not feeling like you're being valued. The question you want to ask yourself, why am I in this situation? What part of me believes that this is normal? And then see what comes up, what answer you come up with. Because what I'm sensing is our destiny is always in front of us. In other words, it's not in the past. We are powerful creators, yes? So if we recreate based on our understanding from the past, from our limited beliefs, from our limited values, then we can't have anything more than what we have experienced up until this point. So if we want to experience something greater, something better, something bigger, something more magnificent, we have to let go of our old stories. Okay, so right now, our stories will have a tendency to come up. Any incompetencies you think you have, if you feel like you're incompetent, or someone told you you're incompetent, this is likely to come up for you as a subject to look at. You might feel incompetent. You might be told that you're incompetent. It can play out in various different ways, but the idea around incompetence, I'm asking, is it because they're incompetent? No, it's not because you're incompetent, but what you do is you lack, how do I want to say this? Your view of you is obscured, and that affects your self-worth. And your lack of self-worth will play itself out in the world. You will, because that's how you see yourself. You see yourself less than. And that's the energy you will be giving off. Okay, so it's important for you to examine the beliefs you have about yourself. And we all have them. You know, I call them lovingly our shadows. And shadows are basically, I want to say it's like bends in reality. They prevent us from seeing the truth. So your shadow is based on a story, and that shadow is generally there to protect you, but it's very limiting. It's very limiting. Often we don't want to deal with our shadows. But the idea here is that in order to effectively heal and move on to higher planes, we have to not only accept our shadows, we have to lovingly embrace our shadows. We have to learn how to love our shadows. Not to get rid of our shadows, love our shadows. And the best way to love a shadow, in my experience, is through the understanding of what the shadow is. What is the shadow about? What is this shadow about? What is this story? Within that story, there is a vibration. Okay, so your story is a certain vibration. With that vibration, you create. So when you change your story, or when you change your perception of your story into something more loving, freeing, and compassionate, you will automatically shift your own vibration to a higher level. So working with shadow, embracing and loving your shadow, integrating our shadow is what allows us to move to higher planes. It's not denial of. And many people deny their shadow self. It's not they're not in a healthy relationship with themselves. In order to have a healthy relationship, you have to be in a healthy relationship with yourself. If you are in denial of yourself, you are not in a healthy relationship, right? Just like in any other relationship, if there is a relationship but there's negligence happening on some level, then the relationship cannot live to its fullest potential. It simply can't, because something is blocking away it from that. So shadow, as a base concept, really says that I don't understand what that means. Essentially, shadow is your friend. Don't run away from your shadow. And the faster we move forward, the faster we are moving, the faster our shadows will be presented to us, so that we can look at it, so that we can embrace it, so that we can integrate our shadows. Okay? I lovingly call it accepting our inner monsters, and that's a lot of us have this idea of having a monster within us, or there's a part of us that's a monster. Some of us have been called different names, and that often becomes a shadow. It's an unresolved wound. When you begin to heal your shadow, healing your shadow depends on self-acceptance. So you will never heal something that you are in denial of. Not going to happen. Okay? Just not going to happen. It's like trying to nurture a baby with your breast, but the baby being a mile away. Not going to happen. Okay? You have to be close. You have to have an intimate relationship. Okay? Your shadow self feeds your fears, or feeds our fears. And there's a lot of fear going on around, right? Where there is less shadow, there is a lot more love and clarity. We can see so much more and so much clearer. We can become so much more when our shadow is less. Make a commitment to yourself today. I will befriend my shadow today, if you want to. But as Joanna, I promise you that when you start embracing your shadow, rather than running away from it or thinking that you have to fix it because you're somehow broken, when you begin to understand your shadow, when you begin to see it from generally child's point of view, when you begin to have compassion for this part of you, love becomes absolutely second nature. You end up loving your shadow. Loving your shadow self is fully loving yourself. Understand that. Just like the creator source loves everything within it, the black, the white, the ugly, the pretty, so you need to be able to embrace all of yourself lovingly. That's where peace comes from. When we are at conflict with ourselves, we are, and sometimes we get violent towards ourselves, we mistreat ourselves because we are at conflict with ourselves. In other words, we harm ourselves and our bodies when we are at conflict. We drink too much, we eat too much, we spend too much, I mean, there's so many different things that I could list. When you are in denial of your own self, you will never be a happy person because you will always feel like there is something missing. So looks like in the month of July, and I suspect this keeps going past July, there will be a lot of energy spent or required on understanding our shadows, looking at our flaws, quote unquote, flaws, right? Looking at shadow aspect, looking and understanding what is a shadow, what is my shadow about? What is my shadow? What's my biggest shadow? Generally speaking, shadow always goes to fear. Okay? Shadow is about fear. It's also about protection. Your shadow is generally there to protect you, to keep you from harm, to keep you safe. It just may not appear that way on the surface, okay? Because of the mechanism. The mechanism doesn't look like it's helpful. It might be quite, for example, someone who is addicted to drugs, their addiction is serving them in some way. They're trying to escape something very painful. And by not being able to face it, they possibly, as an example, look for ways not to deal with that heavy pain. There's no amount of drugs in the world that can make the pain go away. It's not going to happen. It has to be faced. It has to be faced in various different ways, and it doesn't have to be traumatic, but it has to be faced. Without that, true self-love cannot begin. And we are learning how to love ourselves, apparently, okay, with the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything in between. Also understanding that we are powerful beings. We talk about it all the time. We are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit to. And as we keep moving into these higher frequencies, more and more of that proof, if you will be available to us. I did an exercise a few videos ago, and I said to the universe, I give you 48 hours to produce something for me. And within 48 hours, to the very last hour, when I almost lost hope, there it was, plain as day. Not in the way that I expected it, but plain as day. I literally said, you guys are funny. So manifestation is very fast these days. If you want to manifest a lot of money, and that's just coming in, if you want to manifest a lot of money, get in the energy of experiencing having a lot of money. And then notice what comes up, because some little pesky thing might come up and say, you can't have it, you're not allowed, money is bad, oh, money is evil, or, oh my God, so much responsibility. And then you get to observe what's been preventing you from having money. It's beautiful, it's powerful. Why would you want to keep yourself away from money? Various things. One of the famous ones that's repeated everywhere in the world in some way, shape, or form is that money is evil. No, money means nothing. It's just a made-up concept. It's the power we give to it and those who wield it. Money even itself, it's like power. It's nothing. It has to be wielded. Okay. So in this instance, you'd have to look at your concepts around money and the beliefs you have around the idea of you having money. and notice what objections you have around having money. And oftentimes, more often than not, your body will tell you. You'll get a physical sensation that is like a tightening, or you thinking of money gives you these jolts of energy, and you can generally pinpoint them in your body. This is what I do with my clients. You can pinpoint those energy blockages or those energies in the body. And energy is like a floating boat of information. When you can pinpoint the feeling and emotion, you can literally communicate with this emotion. Hey, emotion, what are you about? This is what I do with clients all the time. It's powerful, 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 powerful. But most people either don't notice their emotion, they disregard their emotion, they neglect their emotion, or they plainly tell themselves, no, I don't feel anything. No, they're in denial. Okay? Never be afraid of feeling an emotion. You may need support to deal with that, but never be afraid of feeling an emotion. It simply is energy moving through you. When we have a lot of energy pent up, we create a lot of problems for ourselves. So, throat chakra is indicated. The next few months, it would be very important for you all to remember, myself included, that when you talk about yourself, you're giving off an energy. You're feeding the environment with your energy. Whatever comes off of you or through you is how the outer environment responds to you. It's vibrational. So if you talk down about yourself, that energy is going to come out of you, if you will, and interact with other energies that are very similar. Okay? So pay attention to the words you choose when you are describing yourself to another or to you, to yourself. Okay? And just pay attention to the words that you use as you describe yourself. And notice, as I describe myself, is this how I see myself? Would I want to see myself differently? Is this how people see me? Because based on how you see you, you will use words. Okay, if you don't know how you feel about yourself, just look at the words that you use describing yourself. Do you overinflate yourself or do you undervalue yourself? Either of those extremes is not ideal. Right? So if you overinflate yourself, then that suggests that there's an insecurity. There's an insecurity of some sort, and you need to see yourself here because you're not comfortable with what's here. Okay? On the other hand, if you're afraid of your own authority, you are going to put yourself back, let other people in front of you, not that it's a bad thing, have other people speak for you. You will not be as in charge of your life because you'll be keeping yourself down or back. Okay? Shadow work helps you deal with that. I'm talking a lot about shadow work, aren't I? Looks like month of July is shadow time. Okay, just in time for holidays. Without shadows, we don't understand ourselves fully. Or without understanding our shadows, we don't understand ourselves fully. And therefore, we don't have full visibility to who we really are. Okay? And of course, we are so much more than our shadows. Our shadow is just a part of our being, but we are so much more than our shadows. Yet we are so afraid of our shadows. Why are we so afraid of our shadows? Well, I just heard the word pain. So shadow is likely, often, connected to some pain. Who wants to feel pain? Most people don't say, hey, I want to feel pain. I mean, some pain feels good, but it's our own choosing. No one really walks around and says, hey, I want more pain in my life. No, generally people say, God, I don't want any more pain. Please release me from pain, right? So if you think of your shadow as pain, or if you connect to your shadow as pain, of course you're not going to want to have anything to do with it. Neither would I. But here's the thing. Pain is very heavy when it is not healed. There's a different word. When it is not, oh my goodness, what's the word? When pain is not integrated and it isn't healed, it forces your own energy down. It brings your own energetic beingness down. Pain keeps you vibrating lower. It does not mean that if you feel pain, all of a sudden you are low. No, but constant attachment to pain, unresolved pain, lowers our own frequency. Okay? So it is only logical, now that I think about it, to have shadows being looked at as we're moving to a higher and higher frequency, because shadows are dense, the higher frequency are less dense. So in order for us to experience our less denseness, we have to drop this density, the shadow. We have to effectively heal our old pain. And it's such a powerful process. Such a powerful process. Now, there is an understanding that at the end of the day, there is really nothing to heal. That is true. But for most people, this is not something that's easily accessed, that understanding. Okay? So we have to go through layers. Okay? At the end of the day, there is nothing to heal. You are absolutely perfect. You are just having an experience. You are just limited to seeing that, but there is nothing to heal. You're not broken, you're not sick. It's all an illusion. But again, to bring it down to a more 3D level so that more people can actually grasp it is where we're going to stick for now. Okay. So if something presents itself to you in the month of July and beyond, that has a quality of a shadow showing itself to you, try your best not to run away from your shadow. Don't vilify your shadow. Don't be mad at this shadow, although I'm sure you have lots of interesting feelings towards your shadow. Look at this part of you, at this shadow of you, and literally ask it, what is it that you need? What do you want? Your shadow has a reason for being there. Your shadow generally wants to feel safe at the end of the day. It wants to feel loved. It wants to feel protected. We need to be able to let go of these old ideas, these old understandings we have about ourselves, which affect our behaviors. The whole idea of not facing our shadows is resisting what is part of our divine being. Our shadow is part of our divinity. Everything is part of our divinity, whether we like it or not. Everything is part of one, the isness, the all that is. Perhaps we have this idea that we have to be perfect. We are seeking this perfection. That too comes from a shadow, because why seeking perfection? What's the point? Okay, now that I'm perfect, now what? How does that benefit my life? If it had no value, if it didn't have a purpose, we wouldn't be so obsessed about looking perfect and being perfect. Needing to be perfect has a certain something attached to it. Some kind of outcome. What does being perfect mean to you, and why do you want to be perfect? Now, of course, if you are a soldier, or if you are a brain surgeon, I would want you to be precise and perfect in your execution, because lives depend on it. Okay? But I'm not talking about that, obviously. If it comes to a skill, of course you want to be as perfect as possible. Not discounting that at all. But as a human being, you already are perfect. You are perfect just the way you are. It does not mean that you can't have, or there is no room for improvement, of course, for a different experience, but not because a different experience is going to make you perfect. You're already perfect. You're already perfect. Look at your own perfectionism mechanisms. I, as Joanna, have my own. I like things a certain way. There's probably a certain level of control around it, but I don't mind, because I do need certain level of control in my life. So do you. On the other hand, if I try to over-control, then that's my shadow kicking in, okay? Because to me, control means me having no say and ultimately me not being able to be myself. So in order to avoid that, I'll go towards the control thing, right? But if I try to control things, then that's stemming from my shadow. And they're saying control oftentimes stems from the base chakra, safety, okay? So do you have any issues around control? Over-controlling or not asserting your own control? Any what's the word, please? Any extremes, too much control, too little control, okay? What is enough control? The idea of what is enough control? It's a very peculiar question. How do you answer that question? What is enough control? Okay. I feel it's how you feel about control. You know, do you feel like you're in control? For the most part, and there are some things you're not in control of. The weather, what happens in, you know, different country, many things. You just make peace with that, you know, because those are the things you will never be able to control. But you have control over your life. You have control over what you think, you have control over what you feel, yeah. You have control over what you do. For most of us, that's under our control, okay? Now, we may say we don't have any control, but that's not really true. It can't be true. It means that we would have no free will. We absolutely have free will. We exercise free will every day, in every moment. We're just not consciously doing it. We're not conscious about it. That's okay. Everyone has free will. Now, for some people, the idea of free will means, well, if I have free will, I want to be a giraffe. Well, listen, you have free will within the context of your current experience. So if you decided to be a human being, and you are, within that parameter, you have a lot of free will, okay? So you may not be a giraffe in this lifetime because you chose to be a human being, but you can have an experience with the giraffe. You can have a relationship with the giraffe. You can learn to love a giraffe. That you can do, okay? You can't turn into a snowflake right now. It's because you're not experiencing life as a snowflake. You're experiencing life as a human being, okay? But you have free will around that, so you can experience snowflakes. You can go skiing. There's various ways of experiencing snowflakes. Do you understand? Yes? But just because you can't change the weather or you can't control the weather doesn't mean you can't protect yourself from the weather. Of course you can. You can have an umbrella, you can have sunscreen. You have free will to do whatever you will with regards to weather without the need to control the weather, because you can't control the weather. Now, I know some people will say, well, now people, yes, but for the average person, we're not in control of our weather. Okay, we can pray about it, absolutely. But we can't just switch off a turnkey and then all of a sudden the weather changes. We're not there, okay? So free will is a funny thing, how people look at it, but everyone experiences and exercises free will every single day, including the person who is in prison, and I'm sure that's none of you. Well, someone might say, well, how on earth is this person experiencing free will? They're in prison. Well, yes, but within the prison cell, they have a free will to do whatever they do with their time when they're in their cell. They can meditate, they can read books, they can write, they can visualize. That's free will. Can they get out of the jail cell? Probably not, because they're confined right now. That's part of their experience. Do you see what I'm saying? Free will doesn't mean you automatically get to change your situation right there and then, but it does say that you have free will to experience the situation in various different ways. That you have control over, because your experience is yours. Absolutely yours. Absolutely yours. Okay? For example, if someone loses their job, they may either cry or celebrate it. Sometimes it's somewhere in between. There may be a lot of fear. You can experience it as, oh my God, I'll never get another job. Oh my God, I'm going to be homeless. Oh my God, I'm going to have no money. Or you can experience it like, oh, Jesus, that hurts. But I know how the universe works. Whenever something ends, something always begins. And the person chooses how they want to see that situation and how they want to go about going forward within that situation. Okay? Does that make sense? So yes, we all have free will. And something about well-being. What is it about the well-being, please? Realizing how much free will we actually have is helpful in us feeling more at peace and more in tune with the universe. I'm trying to figure out how, but this is what I was asked to say. When we start to see the ability that we have to create our reality, when we actually start seeing it, when we go, oh my God, literally, I didn't realize this is what I'm doing every day without thinking. The more we realize how much power we actually have, the more we realize we are very powerful, and that changes a person. It changes their perception of who they think they are. For many, they no longer see themselves as a victim, and they see themselves as an experiencer, and they start looking for solutions rather than complaining. Okay? So some become solution-oriented. Others just stay complaining. Complaining keeps you in a victim mode. And by the way, I have complained, and sometimes I do complain, but I catch myself. Okay? Doesn't mean you can't complain, obviously. And there's no judgment around it. It's just if someone is constantly complaining, then they're constantly looking at the side of the negative. That drags their own energy down. Okay? Being a victim or seeing oneself as a victim drags your energy down. Okay? I want to make something very clear. This does not mean that some people were not victimized. I have been victimized on many occasions. It doesn't mean that at all. Absolutely not. In fact, what it means is you likely have been victimized, but don't give the perpetrator your power. Don't keep giving the perpetrator your power. Because if you're a victim, you are giving the perpetrator your power, whoever the perpetrator is in your mind. Okay? By seeing yourself as a victim, by assuming a victim role, you are also living in the past. You're not facing the future anymore. You are living in the past. So it's like you're going forward, but you're facing the past. You're always looking past. 42 minutes. That was quite an introduction. So I think what I'm going to do, I might divide this video into 2 separate videos and do cards for July in the next video. So this is a general message for the month of July. And the next video will be piles. You get to choose and see what each pile says to you for the month of July, and I feel and beyond. Okay, so I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this. I would love for you to comment as to how this information connects or not connects with you. And see you on the next video. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Remember to click the notification bell to get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you. See you soon.